So then, the transfer window is now only 1 month away, folks, and already some Newcastle United players have been linked with moves away from the club. One story coming out today of Manchester United and Chelsea looking to be interested in one of our wingers, but it's not the winger that you might think it is. And also, Eddie Howe has been speaking to the media this morning ahead of the big Premier League clash with Tottenham at St James's Park tomorrow night. So we will have a look at what the gaffer has had to say. Let's do it. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Toon Review YouTube channel. My name's Paul. This is your Newcastle United latest news. Thank you so much again for watching the video. We will start off with a little bit of transfer news. Now listen, make of this what you will. Take it with a pinch of salt. Obviously, we are going to start getting reports coming in left, right and centre about players leaving the club and, of course, Newcastle United interested in certain players as well. They are going to be rife building up to the transfer window. Eddie did speak a little bit about it this morning's press conference, but we'll take a look at that a bit later on. But Manchester United and Chelsea apparently, this is apparently, by the way, are sniffing around Harvey Barnes. Now, obviously, everybody expected Anthony Gordon to maybe drum up a bit of interest, but he hasn't been playing very well lately, and I don't know whether that's come across with other sides that they really haven't been impressed with what Gordon's had to offer. But Harvey Barnes has been on absolute fire. But Newcastle United will be in no position to sell him. They will not want to sell him. He is playing so well this season. Now, listen, it's reported that roughly a staggering £52 million is what Chelsea or Manchester United are prepared to offer for Harvey Barnes. But you know what? I wouldn't let him go. I don't think Newcastle United would either. He's playing so well at the minute. He's ahead of Anthony Gordon, I think, in every fan's reckoning for a place on the team sheet. He's banging in the goals. He's creating. He's doing a lot on the pitch. And for us, you know, we did question it, didn't we, when he first signed? £40 million was a lot of money for Harvey Barnes. You know, would he be able to perform for Newcastle? And I think he has. He's really come to fruition with that price tag. Ended all the doubts, really, about what he can do. Fantastic finisher. And I think he's actually gained a bit of pace this season. He looks like he's a bit more hungry and a lot more quicker on the pitch than what he was in recent seasons. But look, Manchester United, they are desperately needing players. You know, we know that, the situation they're in, even though they spent an absolute fortune over the summer, some of them signings have not played very well. You look at the Shesko one, and Jesus Christ, he has not had a great start. He's injured now. It all went pear-shaped. Cunha's done all right, and Mbeumo's done okay, but they're looking at another winger now, a creative winger who can score goals, and obviously Harvey Barnes is certainly that. I mean, Chelsea, look, Chelsea are interested. Whenever we go for a player, Chelsea are interested. And whenever we seem to want to sell a player, Chelsea are interested. But there's no way Newcastle will want to sell Harvey Barnes. And certainly not to Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea, Harvey Barnes will not get regular football at Chelsea. The amount of players they've got is absolutely rife. But Newcastle have apparently no desire to sell Harvey Barnes, and I think that's pretty obvious. And I think any bids that come in, Newcastle will simply reject. I mean, he's in the 24-25 season, he tallied 9 goals, 4 assists, but this season he's absolutely on fire. And he's just proven to everybody that, yeah, he was worth the money. And I certainly, at this stage now, would not want to sell Harvey Barnes. I don't think the club will. They'll have to go and get a replacement for him. And certainly the way that Anthony Gordon's playing right now, I don't think there's anything in this, guys. But like I say, I told you at the start of the season that I would bring you very varied stories on transfers and things like that, no matter how they seem, because you never know in football, I guess. But could Man United and Chelsea make a bid for him in January or even next summer? We'll have to wait and see. But where do you stand on Harvey Barnes now? Leave a comment below. Where you stand on Harvey Barnes? Is he somebody that you want to keep at the club now? Has he proved himself to you like the same way I feel about him? He's really proved himself to me. So let me know what you think. Now, obviously, Eddie Howe has been speaking to the media ahead of the game against Tottenham tomorrow night. Now, sorry I didn't go live this morning with a reaction to the press conference, but Monday mornings are very different for me, and it's difficult to do a live video with school runs and etc. But I did watch it, and he didn't seem very happy at the start of the press conference. He didn't seem to have a big smile on his face. He did get a bit more jovial later on in the press conference, but he seemed very focused on things, kind of expected the questions, if you like. He knew what was coming. But first of all, he said the league is very tight this year and a consistent run of victories can propel you up the league very quickly. We're in a better position than we were in terms of a points gap. It's a key time because you can't let yourself become detached. We know where we want to be and we need a run of games where we get positive results. So what he basically saying there is, yes, we know where we are in the league, but we've got a good, if you look at the league, how close it is now in points after our, 6 points in 2 games, that has propelled us closer to the points tallies for those above us. So I think, that's what he's talking about, getting a good run. Yes, we seem, I think, we're mid-table now, so it looks a bit off. But when you look at the points, we are starting to challenge a little bit now. So there's some very important games coming up. And if we can get another 6 points from these 2 home games, that will propel us up the league. And it might look a lot different by the time it comes to the Weir Tyne derby in a couple of weeks' time. So very exciting. Now, obviously, we needed to know about injuries. And he was asked about Sven Botman. This is a worry for me because Sven, obviously, he's been bugged by injuries and can't seem to get a decent run in the side. He was left out a few games ago because he had a little... Well, do I say he wasn't playing very well? I think he was doing all right, but he wasn't at the pinnacle of what we've seen him compared to Malik Chow or even, you look at Dan Burns' performance on Saturday night. He wasn't up to those levels. But he said Sven is going to see a specialist in the next couple of days to get a definitive opinion on whether he needs an injection or whether he's able to rest for a few days and resume training. Now, look, again, with Eddie Howe talking about injuries in press conferences, it's very difficult for us as fans to comment on because we've seen it all before so many times where he said, you'll see a specialist and then hopefully be back resuming training after a few days, and then he ends up disappearing for a couple of months. If he's got a back problem and needs an injection, that says to me that there's a problem there and will need to be looked at some point. And if he does have to get injections, then obviously he's not going to be comfortable. I don't know. It's a strange one with Sven, but there's a lot of people out there from Newcastle United supporters side of things that they're worried about the injuries to Sven Botman. Was he another Jonathan Woodgate and things like that? Hopefully not, guys. I mean, obviously playing in the centre-back position, he's stretching a lot of muscles, clearing balls, blocking balls. But then again, so are the others, and the others seem to be able to take it. It's a strange one with Sven. Now, with Wissa, he said he participated in an 11 versus 11 training game while we were at Everton. He'll have another one at some stage this week, and we'll see how close he is. So it doesn't look like Wissa is going to be on the bench, anything like that, for the Everton game and probably the Burnley game. If he comes through another 11-11 game this week, maybe Burnley. But I think everybody is kind of getting the same idea that Sunderland looks like the game that he might be on the bench and could make a fantastic impact off it at some point during the game. So it is exciting to get Wissa back. There's no doubt about that. But Eddie's been very, very coy on his return, isn't he? And I mean, he said this morning, he had a bit of a laugh with it, saying, I can't remember what date I originally gave. I think I've given so many dates about Wissa's return. But obviously, he is full training now and getting up to speed. But how long that takes, that's up to the manager, I guess. So we'll have to wait and see when Wissa's return will be. But it could be Burnley. It could be. It could be Leverkusen away, or it could be Sunderland away. We'll just have to wait. No further update from Saturday. He's one of a number of players we'll analyse early this week and try to get a proper diagnosis. Talking about Nick Pope. Now, Nick Pope, obviously, he sort of brushed over it again. He didn't really go into a lot of detail about the injury. I thought he might have sat there this morning and gave us a good idea maybe about what is going on with Nick Pope. But he kind of brushed it away again, saying he'll see a specialist and we'll see what happens. but then went on to reiterate how brilliant he is and how we need him back. He said that a few times, which obviously, I don't know how that looks to Aaron Ramsdale, but hopefully Ramsdale can just stay and do a job, because he gives us a lot more confidence. I don't know where Eddie gets this confidence in Nick Pope from, because I don't think any fan feels the same as Eddie regarding Nick Pope. He's been brilliant for us, don't get me wrong. But right now, the mistakes he's made, I don't know where Eddie's coming from. I really don't. But listen, he's the manager. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus in front of the cameras. Now, he did speak about Aaron Ramsdale. And said he didn't speak to him much after the game at Everton. He didn't see him. He says, I'm sure he felt good returning back to Newcastle after the game. He can be very pleased. It's a really good start from him, and I'm sure he's in a really good place. Now, again, it was a very quick answer. He didn't seem to want to talk about any of the goalkeepers. He just gave very quick answer on it and kind of moved on. Now, I don't know. I think, from a manager's point of view, if Ramsdale's going to be in goal for the next few games, maybe you want to just boost him up a little bit. I don't know. I kind of found it very strange that he didn't really sort of big him up anymore, because Tottenham is a massive game tomorrow at St James's Park, and hopefully Aaron Ramsdale can keep the door closed. He went on to talk about Anthony Elanga as well. Now, Anthony Elanga has been... the subject of very much frustration, I think, is the word that we can talk about Anthony Elanga. He hasn't hit the heights that certainly he was playing for Forest, but we play a very different way. We know that. It's not the same, and it does take a bit of a transition, but that's exactly what Eddie said. He says the first transition of the game, right from the kickoff, is him running the length of the pitch and onto a pass from Nick Voltemada and almost scoring. That set the tone for us, and he can be very pleased with his contribution. He's beginning to settle into the rhythm of life at Newcastle, because it's a change for any player. I see very level, steady performer, and I think he'll continue to get better and better. Now, that's very positive from Eddie, and I really like what he said about him, because hopefully he does start to propel and become even better. And I'm sure every Newcastle United fan wants that for Anthony Elanga. He's had a little bit of a difficult time, in his early career at Newcastle United, but, some players just take a bit longer to transition into their new sides. And we've heard it all before about how many months it takes certain players to get going at new clubs. One thing that he did bring up in the press conference, or he was asked about, was the development of Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento. They took a while before they were integrated into the team properly, because they weren't Newcastle United ready. And he's kind of been proved right with Livramento and Lewis Hall. But when you're spending £55 million on a winger that has already played in the Premier League, you would expect maybe that development to be a little bit quicker. It hasn't been. So I guess the word that we're looking for with Elanga is still patience. Let's see how he does. Good performance at Everton, and hopefully he can grow from that. Fingers crossed. Now, finding consistency is the big key for Eddie, and he said it's vitally important we find consistency we're searching for. It seems like we're going between Champions League and Premier League and not quite finding the sweet spot we've been searching for all season, but hopefully this is a turning point for us. Every opponent we face in the Premier League is so difficult, and now we face Tottenham, who are a very good team with their own strengths. We'll put our plan in place and try to find a win. Look, when he speaks about the opposition, it's always the same, isn't it? We'll try and find a win, and he'll praise the opposition, he'll praise the manager. That's just the way Eddie Howe is, isn't it? He likes to do that. He makes sure that he praises the right people. But look, it is a big game against Tottenham tomorrow. But like I said earlier, if we can get 6 points from these next 2 home games, that is going to provide a real boost up the league, and the confidence will be flowing. Now, speaking about Malik Chow, he says it's an interesting one with Malik, because he's ended up, if you look back at our set plays, getting his head on quite a bit. So his movement, his aggression, his timing is really good, but he hadn't put the finishing touches in that way he did on Saturday with 2 great headers. It's great to see that work coming good for us. The importance of set play goals we've discussed so many times. It wins and loses you games, so it's great to see us on the right side of it. Hopefully that continues. Now, I agree with Eddie, because if you look at Newcastle United and set pieces, those two haven't gone together at all for quite a long time. We've really struggled with corners, free kicks, whatever it may be. It seems to be changing. We are starting to look a lot more dangerous on set pieces. And of course, banging in the goals that we did on Saturday. There were some very, very good set pieces. Obviously, the first goal coming from a Miley corner, which was brilliant, and a superb header. So, you expect your centre-backs to be challenging. You expect them to be getting in there. And the frustration, certainly from a fan's point of view, was trying to watch our set pieces and just thinking, Jesus Christ, what is this set piece coach doing who was brought in to improve them? Because we've seen no improvement. But now, hopefully, we're seeing a bit of a transition with that. So we might see a lot better to come. And he did finally talk about Lewis Miley, of course, who was absolutely outstanding on Saturday. He says he's there on merit and he's fighting for a starting place. He's impressing me with how he's training and how he's preparing himself for every opportunity that he gets. It was a big moment for him on Saturday. He wanted the ball. He was very good with the ball, and that was key for us. He played with calmness and control. He set up a goal. He scored one. It couldn't have gone any better, really. Now, he was challenged on Lewis Miley, saying about the Elliot Anderson situation, and Eddie says, well, look, I've spoke about Elliot Anderson enough, but with Lewis Miley, yes, he sees him as a long-term option at Newcastle United. He does not want him to go anywhere. He sees Lewis Miley being a Newcastle great, and also the fact that it's down to Miley himself. Does he want to stay at Newcastle United? Will he commit himself to Newcastle? But I guess it all has to come as a mixture together. He's got to be playing regular football. From the coach's point of view, put him in. But from Miley's point of view, if he's getting regular football, he's not going to leave the club he loves. If he's getting regular football. So he's a massive player for us. And I don't understand all the criticism that came his way earlier on this season, saying, he's never going to make the grade. He's still so bloody young. I don't get people who just write players off like that very, very quickly at that age. That age is very, very different to sort of 24, 25. You can see whether they're going to make it or not. And Lewis Miley is just fantastic for me. He really is. And hopefully a lot more to come from him. But let me know what you think of what Eddie had to say this morning. Is there any points that you picked up on that maybe you're worried about the Nick Pope situation? Is he going to stick him straight back in? Who knows? Who knows? Let me know down in the comments. But thank you very much for watching the video. If you're watching this on Monday, of course, we've got tonight at 7 o'clock, the preview for the Tottenham Hotspur game. We'll have a look at Tottenham, see how they are performing, and maybe try and again put a team together and see what Eddie might do in his rotation tomorrow night. But anyway, give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. And of course, please do subscribe to the Toon Review if you are new. All we ask for is that you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. You can join the Facebook group, of course. If you're on Facebook, just go to the Toon Review. Just fill in a few questions and me or one of the mods will accept you into the group. And visit thetoonreview.com for all your merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, coffee mugs, drinks, all sorts on there, caps, everything really. And coming up to Christmas, it'll be the perfect gift for yourself or a loved one. So head to thetoonreview.com. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching the video. We'll see you very soon. Take care.